March 30th, 1955. The night Grace Kelly won everything and lost herself. Grace sat in the back of the limousine heading to the RKO Pantages Theatre for the 27th Academy Awards, her hands folded carefully in her lap to stop them from shaking. Beside her, her escort, a studio publicist, not a real date, reviewed the evening's schedule with mechanical efficiency. "You'll walk the red carpet at 6:45. Smile for the photographers, but don't stop for too long. You're nominated for Best Actress for The Country Girl. The competition is strong, but the trades think you have a real chance." Grace nodded, barely hearing him. She was 25 years old, nominated for an Academy Award, at the absolute peak of her career. And she was miserable. Because 2 weeks ago, Prince Rainier of Monaco had proposed. And Grace had said yes. The engagement wouldn't be announced publicly until next week, but Grace already knew what it meant. She would have to give up acting. Leave Hollywood. Become Princess Grace instead of Grace Kelly, actress. Tonight might be the last time she attended the Oscars as a nominee. The last time she was celebrated for her work, not her title. The last time anyone cared about Grace Kelly the artist. The irony was almost unbearable. The limousine pulled up to the theatre, and Grace could hear the roar of the crowd even through the thick windows. Thousands of fans lined the streets, screaming for their favorite stars. Camera flashes exploded like lightning. This was supposed to be the greatest night of her career. Instead, it felt like a funeral. Grace stepped out of the car, and the crowd erupted. She smiled automatically, the smile she had perfected over years of knowing exactly where the cameras were, exactly what expression would photograph well. But inside, she was screaming. She walked the red carpet in a pale green satin gown, her hair swept back elegantly, looking every inch the Hollywood goddess. Reporters shouted questions. Photographers called her name. Other nominees and presenters congratulated her on her nomination. Grace said all the right things. Thanked everyone. Expressed appropriate humility about her chances. Praised the other nominees. And felt absolutely nothing. She was already leaving this world. Already becoming someone else. What did it matter if she won or lost tonight? Inside the theatre, Grace took her seat next to her father, who had flown out from Philadelphia for the ceremony. He was beaming with pride, convinced that his daughter was about to win the most prestigious award in film. He didn't know yet about the engagement. About Monaco. About Grace's decision to give up everything she had worked for. When she told him, would he understand? Or would he think she was throwing away her talent, her achievements, her future? Grace suspected the latter. The ceremony began. Host Bob Hope made jokes. Awards were presented. Grace clapped when appropriate, smiled when the camera found her, played her part perfectly. All the while, her mind was in Monaco. In a palace she had visited once. With a man she barely knew. Making a choice that would define the rest of her life. Was she making a mistake? The thought had been haunting her for 2 weeks, growing louder with each passing day. She had said yes to Rainier's proposal in a moment of weakness, swept up in the romance and the fairy tale and the escape it offered from Hollywood's relentless pressure. But now, sitting in this theatre surrounded by her peers, about to possibly win the highest honor her profession could bestow, Grace wondered if she had chosen wrong. And the nominees for Best Actress are. Grace's heart pounded as they showed clips from each nominated performance. There she was in The Country Girl, playing Georgie Elgin, the bitter, exhausted wife of an alcoholic actor. It was the least glamorous role of her career, the one where she had deliberately made herself look plain, where she had poured all her anger and frustration and fear into creating something raw and real. It was her best work. And if she won tonight, she would never get the chance to do work like this again. Grace Kelly, The Country Girl. The audience applauded. The camera found her. Grace smiled, knowing millions of people were watching, judging, analyzing every micro-expression. She wanted to win. Desperately. Not for the recognition or the prestige, but because it would validate her choice to become an actress, would prove that she was more than just a beautiful face. But she also didn't want to win. Because winning would make leaving even harder. Would make the sacrifice even more painful. And the Oscar goes to William Holden, last year's Best Actor winner, opened the envelope with theatrical slowness. Time seemed to stop. Grace held her breath, her fingernails digging into her palms. This was it. The moment that would either celebrate her achievement or confirm that she had always been replaceable. Grace Kelly, the country girl. The theater erupted in applause. People around her stood, congratulating her, touching her shoulder. Her father pulled her into a tight hug, tears in his eyes. And Grace felt nothing. No joy. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just a hollow emptiness where her emotions should have been. She walked to the stage in a daze, her legs moving automatically, her face arranged in an expression of surprised delight that she didn't actually feel. William Holden handed her the golden statuette, kissed her cheek, whispered, "Congratulations, you earned this." Grace looked down at the Oscar in her hands. Heavy. Solid. Real. This was what she had worked for. Dreamed of. Sacrificed for. And now that she had it, all she could think was, what's the point? She stepped to the microphone, aware that millions were watching, that this moment would be remembered, that she needed to say something meaningful. "Thank you," Grace said, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. "Thank you to the Academy, to the director, George Seaton, to my co-stars, Bing Crosby and William Holden, to everyone who believed in me." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. Her colleagues, her peers, people who understood what she did, why she did it, how much it mattered. People she was about to leave behind forever. "This award means everything to me," Grace continued, and realized it was both truth and lie. It meant everything because it validated her work. It meant nothing because she was throwing away the future it represented. "Acting has been my greatest passion, my deepest joy. Standing here tonight, holding this Oscar, I feel..." She stopped, unable to finish the sentence honestly. She felt lost. She felt trapped. She felt like she was at the peak of a mountain but already falling off the other side. "I feel grateful," Grace finally said. "Thank you." She held up the Oscar, smiled for the cameras one last time, and walked off stage. Backstage, reporters surrounded her immediately. Camera flashes blinded her. Questions came from every direction. "Grace, how does it feel to win? What's next for you? Will you do another film right away?" Grace answered mechanically, giving them the quotes they wanted, the sound bites that would run in tomorrow's papers. But part of her wanted to scream the truth. "This is my last hurrah. I'm leaving Hollywood. I'm giving up acting to marry a prince you've never heard of and become a princess in a country smaller than most American cities. This Oscar is my goodbye gift to myself." But she didn't say any of that. She smiled and charmed and deflected, the perfect movie star, giving nothing away. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. The after parties. The congratulations. The champagne. Grace held her Oscar, posed for photos, accepted praise from directors and producers and fellow actors, and felt like she was watching herself from a great distance, seeing Grace Kelly the actress have her moment of triumph, knowing that woman was already dead. At 3 a.m., Grace finally returned to her hotel room, still in her gown, the Oscar in her hand. She set it on the dresser and stared at it. This was supposed to be the happiest moment of her life. Instead, it was one of the saddest. Because Grace Kelly had just won proof that she was an extraordinary actress, that she had achieved the highest recognition her craft could offer. And in 2 weeks, she would announce her engagement to Rainier and begin the process of walking away from it all. The Oscar sat on her dresser, gleaming in the lamplight, a golden reminder of everything she was about to lose. Grace picked it up again, feeling its weight, reading the inscription, "Grace Kelly, Best Actress, The Country Girl, 1954. This was who she was. An actress. An artist. Someone who had worked incredibly hard, who had proven herself against all odds, who had earned the respect of her peers. And she was choosing to stop being that person. Why? Grace sat on the edge of her bed, still holding the Oscar, and tried to remember why she had said yes to Rainier. Security. Respectability. A real life beyond Hollywood's artificial world. A family. A purpose that felt more substantial than making movies. Those reasons had made sense 2 weeks ago. Tonight, holding an Academy Award, they felt hollow. Grace set the Oscar down and went to the window, looking out at Los Angeles sleeping below. Somewhere in this city were sound stages where she had made her films, studios where she had learned her craft, theaters where audiences had watched her performances. This was her world, her home, her life, and she was leaving it for a palace in Monaco she had visited exactly once. Was she insane? Grace stood at that window until dawn, the Oscar behind her, the city below her, and felt the full weight of her choice settling on her shoulders. She had won the Oscar, and lost herself in the process. Because winning only made sense if you could keep playing the game. If you had a future in the work. If the achievement led somewhere instead of ending in an announcement that you were retiring at 25. The Oscar night she couldn't enjoy. The greatest triumph of her career, shadowed by the knowledge that it was also the beginning of the end. Grace Kelly, Academy Award winner, stood at her hotel window as the sun rose over Los Angeles, and mourned. Not for what she had lost, but for what she was about to throw away. The Oscar sat on her dresser, a golden monument to everything she had been. And everything she would never be again. Tomorrow, she would pack it carefully and take it with her to Monaco, where it would sit in a palace room, gathering dust, a reminder of the life she had abandoned. The Oscar she had won but could never truly enjoy. Because the moment she accepted it, Grace Kelly was already saying goodbye. To Hollywood. To acting. To herself. The award was an ending, not a beginning. A gravestone, not a trophy. And Grace Kelly, Oscar winner, was already becoming Princess Grace. The performance was over. The curtain was falling. And no amount of golden statuettes could change that fact. Grace picked up the Oscar one more time, held it close, and whispered to it what she couldn't say to anyone else. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserved better than this." Then she set it down and began the process of becoming someone who had once won an Oscar, rather than someone who was an actress. The transition would take months to complete. But it began on Oscar night, 1955. The night Grace Kelly won everything, and lost the only thing that truly mattered. Herself. The next morning, Grace woke after only an hour of sleep, the Oscar still sitting on her dresser where she had left it. In the harsh morning light, it looked different, less triumphant, more accusatory. The phone had been ringing since 6 a.m. Congratulatory calls from agents, producers, directors. Everyone wanted to work with Grace Kelly, Academy Award winner. Everyone had projects they were certain she'd be perfect for. Grace let them all go to voicemail. What was the point of taking meetings for films she would never make? Her father knocked on her door at 8 a.m., still beaming from last night's victory. "Grace, there's my Oscar winner." He pulled her into a hug. "I'm so proud of you. Your mother wanted to be here, but you know how she is about flying. She called 3 times this morning already." Grace tried to smile. "That's wonderful, Dad. So what's next?" Her father settled into the armchair, clearly ready for a long conversation about her bright future. "I imagine you'll be flooded with offers now. You could probably name your price. Work with any director you want." This was the moment. Grace knew she had to tell him. "Dad, I need to tell you something." Something in her tone made him sit up straighter. "What is it?" "I'm engaged. To Prince Rainier of Monaco. We're announcing it next week." The silence that followed was deafening. Her father stared at her, processing the information. "The prince you met at Cannes. The one from that photo shoot." "Yes." "Grace, you barely know him." "I know enough." "Do you?" Her father's expression was impossible to read. "What does this mean for your career? For everything you've just achieved?" Grace looked down at her hands. "I'll have to give up acting. Monaco needs a princess, not an actress." "Absolutely not." Her father stood abruptly. "Grace, you just won an Academy Award. You're at the peak of your career. You can't throw that away for some European prince no one's ever heard of." "I've already said yes, Dad." "Then say no. Change your mind. You're 25 years old. You have decades of work ahead of you. Don't make a decision you'll regret for the rest of your life. Grace felt tears burning behind her eyes. What if this is my only chance at a real life? At a family? Hollywood won't love me forever. In 10 years, they'll be casting younger actresses in the roles I want. I'll be forgotten, discarded, alone. So you're running away, her father said quietly. You're scared of the future, so you're hiding behind a crown. The words hit like a slap. That's not fair. Isn't it? He gestured to the Oscar. You just proved you're one of the best actresses in the world. And your first instinct is to quit. That's not the daughter I raised. The daughter you raised wanted to matter, Grace shot back. Wanted to be more than just another pretty face. Being a princess means something. It's real. It's substantial. It's safe, her father interrupted. And you've never been someone who chose safe over significant. Grace had no answer for that. Her father sighed, his anger deflating into something sadder. Grace, I've watched you work since you were a little girl putting on plays in our living room. You love acting. It's who you are. If you give that up, you'll lose yourself. And no crown will be worth that price. You don't understand, Grace whispered. Don't I? He picked up the Oscar, held it out to her. This represents everything you've worked for. Everything you've achieved. Can you really walk away from this? Grace took the Oscar from him, feeling its familiar weight. Could she? The question haunted her for the next 2 weeks, as the engagement was officially announced and the world erupted in excitement over the fairy tale romance. Grace Kelly, movie star, was becoming a real princess. It was the ultimate Hollywood ending. Except it was actually a beginning. The beginning of a life Grace wasn't sure she wanted. She returned to Monaco to begin wedding planning, bringing the Oscar with her. It sat in her temporary quarters at the palace, looking out of place among the antique furniture and royal trappings. Rainier noticed it one evening, picking it up curiously. Congratulations on this, he said. It's quite an achievement. Thank you. You must be very proud. Grace looked at him, this man she was going to marry, this prince she barely knew. I am. It represents 5 years of incredibly hard work. Well, now you can focus on new challenges, Rainier said, setting the Oscar down carelessly. Being a princess will be just as rewarding, I'm sure. Grace said nothing, because she wasn't sure at all. In fact, she was becoming more certain with each passing day that she was making the biggest mistake of her life. But the wheels were already in motion. The wedding was planned. The world was watching. Expectations had been built. Grace Kelly was trapped by her own fairy tale. And the Oscar sat in her Monaco bedroom, a constant reminder of what she was giving up. Sometimes, late at night, Grace would hold it and remember Oscar night. The applause. The triumph. The feeling, however brief, of being recognized for her work, her talent, her art. That was the last time she had felt truly alive. Everything after was just slow death dressed up in elegant gowns and princess titles. The Oscar she couldn't enjoy had been prophetic. It had shown Grace that winning meant nothing if you couldn't keep playing. That achievement was hollow if it was also an ending. That sometimes the greatest triumph of your life was also the beginning of your greatest regret. Grace Kelly, Academy Award winner, stood in a palace in Monaco, holding her Oscar, and finally understood what she had done. She had won. She had achieved the impossible. She had proven herself. And then she had given it all away for a fairy tale that was starting to feel more like a nightmare. The Oscar she couldn't enjoy on the night she won it. And would never enjoy again. Because every time she looked at it, she would remember what she had been. And mourn what she would never be. An actress. An artist. Grace Kelly. Gone forever. Replaced by Princess Grace. And an Oscar that sat in a palace bedroom, gathering dust, representing a life abandoned. A talent wasted. A future destroyed. All for a crown that felt heavier with each passing day. Oscar night. 1955. The night Grace Kelly won everything. And lost herself completely.